Go. Ooh, 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 ooh. Here we go. Another episode of No News is News. This is episode 203 today, guys. Woo! 203. Here we go. Daddy Trump talking to the Air Force. We got Mamdani talking about a shooting in NY in Times Square during the parade yesterday. But first, before we get started on our show, as we always do, we gotta get those ads running, right? Gotta get those ads running. Gotta put that puppy on. Done. Details. Make sure that we are on. Our news is news. No to AI. Austin, Texas. Come on, baby. Oh, and then where is the category? News and politics. Who will be president in 2028? We have 871 days until election. And let's go ahead and check in on that Kelce odds now, guys, for our puppy of the day. Marco Rubio, JD Vance, Gavin Newsom, and Jon Ossoff again. All right, so here we go again. Up first, Marco Rubio, and he's got 2 wins. We got Gavin Newsom, and I believe it's 13 wins. 13 wins. Wow, 13 wins. We got, oh no, that's not Gavin Newsom. That's supposed to be JD Vance. JD Vance, and he's got 30 wins. And then we got Gavin Newsom, and he's got 13 wins. And then we got Jon Ossoff. All right, there they are. Get your votes in now, guys. Let's get it all started. Starting today with Donald Trump speaking with U.S. Air Force service members.
At the base, the new presidential aircraft donated by the government of Qatar.
Oh, that's the new plane? Oh, shit. That's the new plane. Come on. I need the music. There we go.
Well, thank you very much. And before we begin on the plane, this is a brand new hangar because, as you probably have learned, these...
What happened? Oh. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Stupid Bluetooth.
planes are much bigger. The other plane was about...
God damn it. Fucking Bluetooth.
about 35 years old. And it was time, and President, these planes are much... Well, thank you.
All right, well, sorry again. All right. All right. Actually, I'm going to have to end this stream, guys. We'll be back later. Okay. Actually, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. But just Daddy Trump probably.
Well, thank you very much. And before we begin on the plane, this is a brand new hangar because, as you probably have learned, these planes are much bigger. The other plane was about 35 years old. And it was time, and President of the United States, numerous of them, would land, and they'd be standing next to one of the new 747s. And the biggest difference is the difference in size. It's like virtually double the size. And it, actually on a runway it looks even more so. And I said to myself, you know, these countries, they have a lot of respect for us, a lot. And yet they have a a plane that's much better and much newer. It's a little ridiculous out there. And we have our signal, and we have our beautiful American flag, and we put the wave in it, as you know. We've always gone with this straight little noodle, and I never loved that. Now we have a wavy, beautiful flag. We're waving it proudly because our country is doing so well. Our country is doing so well. Those ships are flowing out of the Hormuz Strait like nobody's ever seen before, actually. There were a lot of them, about 700 of them, and they're pouring out. The oil is all over the place. You're going to see oil drop so low. I hope the companies are happy about it. But we have a lot of victories. We had a great victory in Venezuela, where we're now doing really well with the government. The big companies are all in there, the oil companies. They're building rigs, and we've paid for that war many, many times over.
Lord.
We're
2026, welcome back.
Again, we have a fantastic relationship with the people of Venezuela. Venezuela has become a happy country because they have never made the money that they're making now. We take some and they take some, but I just want to thank the general for the job. Raisin Cane, I liked his name right away. I had him, Raisin Cane, and he raises cane, and he's very quiet about it. But he knows how to win. I knew that a long time ago. I said, if I ever get back here, I know the guy I'm going to put in charge of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and I got my man. So thank you, General. Great job. We're proud of you. And all of the people. I mean, we have the greatest military anywhere in the world. And you saw that in Iran, where in 1 week, virtually, we knocked out their entire Navy, their entire Air Force, their anti-missile weapons, their radar. We knocked out everything.
They knocked it all
Some
out.
of the fake news would say, oh, we didn't do it fast enough or something. We took about a week. We're a little spoiled by Venezuela, but equal.
We lead the
I would
world
say
follows.
equal. And now we have an agreement that was signed last night, and it's 60 days. They have to make a deal. Otherwise, we will do things that won't make them happy, but I don't think it's going to get to that. I think it's going to be very good. Remember, if we do that, then all of a sudden you're not going to have the oil flowing out of the strait too quickly, because people that own billion-dollar ships don't love missiles flying over them, don't love mines all over the water. And this is going to be amazing what's happening now, because we have the greatest economy that we've ever had. We have $19.2 trillion coming into our country from other countries and people, but a lot of other countries are coming in, including Qatar, who was so nice in providing. You know, we were at a little bit of a logjam. We're waiting for the
Make sure you double tap, hit that like button, hit subscribe, send people into the algorithm for our poll of the day, as it is every day on this show, with 871 days until the election. Oh my God, guys, yesterday we did a 12-hour live stream. I'm hoping we don't get like a surge of viewership tonight, and we just get our little peaceful under 50 viewers so that we can just have our 1 hour and be done. Because I don't know that I can handle more than an hour tonight. I don't even know that we have more than an hour's worth of news footage tonight. But thank you guys for coming back. No news is news. 5 days a week, 5 p.m. Central Time. Hour worth of news at least every night. Last night, we went for 11 and a half hours. We were on until 4:30 in the morning. But with 10 votes in, Gavin Newsom currently, he's on a 6-day win streak. And he might get a 7th win in a row here. He is currently in the lead with 54 minutes left in our show. Qatar was so nice to bribe the old fool with a plane that's costing us $400 million.
I call them the normal 747s, and I asked the Emir if we could use the brand new 747 that he got when we first heard about it, 800 hours. 800 hours for an airplane is essentially, I think, Troy, you could say that's a brand new plane. And I said, we'd like to use it for a little while because the planes are pretty old. Our planes are old. See, a normal president wouldn't do this. A normal president wants to stay away from aircraft. We don't want to order any aircraft so that everybody thinks, but our country has to be represented properly. That includes we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest aircraft anywhere in the world, military fighters and bombers, and the B-2 bomber. You saw what that did. And we should have a plane. And we're going to have, as you know, we ordered 2 for a long time ago. They ordered, and they're coming in. And the hangar was built for the large plane. The other plane is such a difference in size, but there will never be one like this. This is very unique. This is considered the world's most luxurious plane. When it was built at a level that will probably never be seen again. And if the press would like, I don't know if it's going to help me with stories. I don't think they'll be any different. But what we're going to do is we're going to take you for just a quick tour. The press is actually going to, oh, look at them. They're actually smiling. Are you smiling? The first time I've seen them smile in years. They don't smile at Republicans. They should smile at Republicans because we're the ones that make America great. Anyway, but that's good. You happy about that? We'll do it. All right. So when I leave, they're going to take you for a little tour. You'll see something you won't even believe. And you'll be spending a lot of time. We're doing a lot of trips. We'll be going to Turkey. We'll be going at some point during the year back to China. President Xi's coming here in September, but we're going back for a big conference that's in China. I said I'd do that. And I want to thank China because, to be honest, I asked President Xi not to get involved with Iran. And they get 50% of their oil from the Strait. But I asked him not to get involved. And he said he wouldn't, and he didn't. I mean, it's very nice, actually. Very nice. So I appreciate that. But we'll be doing a lot of traveling together. The workmanship of this plane is, when you see it, you won't believe it, actually. The quality of woods, the quality of the materials, the quality of the engines. These engines are the finest, they're the best in the world. Nothing like it. So it's really an honor, and I want to thank the Emir of Qatar. He's a fantastic guy. He went through a lot over the last few months. He's very brave, as were Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince, and the King of Saudi Arabia, who's in good health. He's a little older. Got a little bit, I knew him when he was a little bit younger. I've known him all for a long time, but the Crown Prince is a fantastic person. And you...
Make sure you double tap, hit that like button, hit subscribe, send people into the algorithm for our poll of the day, as it is every single day on this show, with 871 days until the election, 50 minutes left in our show. Gavin Newsom holding pretty. He might be on a 7-day win streak right now, guys.
UAE Mohammed from UAE.
Get your votes in now.
Incredible. He's an incredible fighter. They're all incredible fighters. And they fought with us, and they've been loyal to us. And I appreciate it. Also Kuwait, Bahrain, and some others. And obviously we fought very well with Israel. And we've had a great relationship with Israel. We were very formidable. And Bibi Netanyahu, he's a warrior prime minister. And he should be acknowledged as that. They should give him credit because he really did. We had a very good relationship, General, with all of them. But we really fought hard with Israel. And frankly, I feel that if we weren't around, let's say if there wasn't this presidency, we rebuilt our military during my first term. Some of it was foolishly given away by the Biden administration. Nobody can even understand that. But
hey, guys, I'm going to be jumping in and out of this stream on Friday night. We are going to definitely cover all of Donald Trump's speech today in front of the Air Force, as well as Mamdani's news conference on the Times Square shooting. Stick with us every day. Hit subscribe, hit like, and I will still keep with you guys on the poll, and we will end. But yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking with us. But I got some fucking weekend cleaning and stuff to get done, all right?
Not much compared, a lot, but not much compared to what we built.
I still want to be with you. I still love you.
And then a lot was given away. A lot was given away by Biden to Ukraine, and they should pay for it, meaning the Europeans should pay for it, but that wasn't in the cards for them. They didn't, nobody asked them to pay. All you have to do is say, take our military, just pay us. Just pay us. Nobody asked. I said, why didn't you pay? Nobody asked us to, sir. I was with the European leaders over the weekend. I said, we gave you $350, think of it, $350 billion worth of planes, 300 of weapons of all kinds and other things. And they said, why? I said, why didn't you? And he said, well, nobody ever asked us. So we're going to, now they do pay, Europe pays, and We're trying to get that war ended, Ukraine and Russia. I'd like to see it end. A lot of people. Last week it was reported 34,000 people died. Soldiers, mostly soldiers. I've ended 8 wars. I'm very proud of it, but this was the one I thought might be the easiest of all, and it's turned out to be a little more difficult, but we're going to get it done. I want to thank the Secretary of the Air Force, who's a friend of mine. He's highly respected. He's a great guy. He's doing a wonderful job out here. Troy, thank you very much. Troy Mink, thank you very much, Troy. Great job. And he loves it, don't you? He likes beautiful aircraft. Now, we have beautiful aircraft. We have a thing called the F-47. I'm sure you haven't heard of it. But they say it's stage 6. They say it's the greatest fighting machine ever developed, and we'll find out. The F-47. And it's under construction now, and they have the assembly line already working, and it's going to do great. Undersecretary of War Michael Duffy. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. And again, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Daniel Kane, who's fantastic. Air Force Chief of Staff, General Kenneth Wilsbach. Thank you. Thank you, Kenneth. The CEO of L3 Harris, Chris Kubasik. Thank you. Great job, Chris. He said they do a lot of the great planes of the world, and he said, we never did one like this. This is something special. Thank you. I heard you were fantastic. Thank you very much. And I also want to thank, I think, a natural-born warrior. His name is Pete Hegseth, and he has done, working with the generals and everybody else, he's a natural, I believe. Well, so far we've been winning all the time. We're not going to lose. He doesn't know how to lose, and he's a tough cookie, and he loved, the first day I met him, I said, this guy really loves the military. Very successful, great colleges, went to the best schools, great student, but he loved the military. And I said, I'm going to give him a chance, and he more than lived up.
Make sure you double tap, hit that like button, hit subscribe. Welcome back, Michael. Tonight I'm going to be in and out of the live stream because I'm just doing some spring cleaning, getting my Friday and weekend in order. But we are going to be covering the rest of Donald Trump's speech in front of the Air Force, as well as Mamdani's press conference on the Times Square shooting. Guys, get your votes in now for our Friday episode. 45 minutes left in the show. Gavin Newsom on a 6-day win streak. He pulled off a win after that 11-and-a-half-hour episode last night. And right now, 45 minutes left in our show, most likely, and Gavin Newsom potentially winning a 7th time in a row. Get your votes in now, guys.
The reputation, so he's great. He's doing a fantastic job. Pete Hegseth. I also want to thank especially the 250 people, that's a lot, who worked 24/7 to prepare this plane for service, including many airmen here at Joint Base Andrews, and I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all, and your generals and Troy and everybody. We're doing you a little favor. You have 2.5 really bad golf courses here. Really bad. They have no water. They're dying. And everybody wants to play, but they're really not representative of quality. So Jack Nicklaus, who's a friend of mine, is doing, I told him, he's a great designer, too. He was the greatest player. Tiger and Jack, Jack and Tiger. Gary Player was right there, too, Gary. Gary won 168 tournaments. We got to say that's pretty good, too. But Jack Nicklaus, a great, great, legendary golfer. He won 18 majors and close to 100 tournaments. And known also, very, very rarely does this happen, known also, he's really become a fantastic golf course designer. He's done tremendous golf course. And I said, Jack, and he loves the military. I said, Jack, would you do me a favor? Take this beautiful piece of land with terrible courses that don't have water, they don't have anything, they have grass that's 400 years old. I said, will you, right? They know what I mean. Give them a really good, give them a world championship course, because the land is phenomenal. The outer fairways, in other words, the area, the trees between fairways are the most beautiful I think I've ever seen, because nobody's touched them in many, many years. And they've just about started construction. You're going to have it very quickly. And you're going to have, I think, the finest military courses anywhere in the world. But they'll be among the best, you know. It doesn't cost much more to make them top tier, for a couple of bucks more. And I said, we're going to spend it. So that's our gift, the general, myself, Troy. That's our gift to this, to great place, Andrews. I've gotten to know it. You know, I've been coming here a lot of years now. It seems strange, but we've been coming here a lot of years. And everybody involved with Andrews is a winner. They run this so well and so important. So you're going to have 2.5. We're doing 2 courses and a half for young people, very young people, and disabled. If there's anybody that needs a little help, it's so amazing what they do. And so we're doing 9 holes, and that'll be for disabled, young people. Very, very special. Hasn't been done before. I thought it would be a great idea. But with the extraordinary devotion of many of you here today, this plane was transformed into a flying White House at a level of luxury that nobody's ever seen before. Probably even almost outside of an airplane. It's nobody's ever seen anything like this. And in only 10 months, a time frame no one thought possible. And, you know, they put a lot of things on here that normally you wouldn't do. Great protective mechanisms, very, very, the latest and the greatest in every aspect. But it took us about 10 months, and they did it really professionally. These generals were what they do. And this was this was love, right? This was not your normal, General, this was not your normal situation. Come here, I want to shake your hand. You work so hard. Come here. This guy. He worked so hard with such love, and it's basically is a love for the country and a love for the Air Force, but his whole group was just unbelievable, and you thank them all. Okay? Thank you, General. Appreciate it. Great job. And it was all of the generals. They wanted to do something special. They wanted to get it.
Guys, make sure you double tap, hit that like button, hit subscribe, send people into the algorithm for our poll of the day, as it is every day on this show. With 40 minutes remaining in our show, Gavin Newsom potentially on a 7-day tear. He ended up in a victory after an 11.5-hour episode last night, and he is now on a 6-day win streak, potentially number 7 today, guys.
Done for
Get your votes in now.
250th year, the anniversary. We have America's 250th, and that's coming up in a little while. And I think I can say that we're going to do a flyover like no flyover. This is going to lead a group of many, many planes. I do love the F-22, I have to tell. Does anybody like the F-22? I love the F-22. I say, why aren't you putting F-22s? They're putting F-22s. They're going to have the 35s. They're going to have the 60s. They're going to have everything. But this will be a flyover on July 4th. I think I can say the likes of which we've never seen before, General, right? Spending a couple of bucks extra for a little fuel. We own the plane, so all we need is a little extra fuel, right? And we have every pilot wants to do it. Those pilots are all fighting to do it. So we're going to have a lot of planes flying over the Capitol and over the White House. And maybe I could ask you to do a return trip, too, because, you know, they fly over and they go fast. When they're going slow, they're going fast, right? And as I understand it, this is going to lead the brigade. And the general's doing that. I mean, see, because sometimes you see them and you see, like, for instance, the other night. Did anybody see the fight the other night by any chance? Because I figured because it was one of the highest rated shows they've ever had, ever. I think everybody was watching that. That was rather gruesome. Would anybody like to be a fighter? I don't think so. That was one of the greatest events. But they flew over, the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds. I don't know, have they ever worked together before? You know, I think they probably hate each other, right? You know, but they're two groups that they got together and they put on a performance, and I think we're going to get some of that too. And it's really, these are fantastic people. So We had it all painted up, and these are the new colors, red, white, and blue. And we like the baby blue, but it was time for a change. And this is the sleekest line. Everything was designed good. It was my taste, I will say. He said, what color do you like? I said, I like the color of the American flag, right? That makes sense. So we have that, and all of the planes in the fleet are being changed into this look, which is a much better look and a more appropriate look. But this plane is the first successful example of a real transformation of something that was built at the highest level and now had to be changed a little bit. We have communication equipment up there that's nobody's ever seen before. It's the highest level, and including Starlink. My friend Elon is going to be very happy.
Leon, bro.
But Starlink, we have 4 or 5 different sets of double and triple communications like people haven't seen, and it represents what can happen with hard work, innovation, and aggressive timelines, because we did this quickly, and yet there's never been communication like is on this plane. Our pilots are incredible. You know, when you fly the president, not me, just the president, but they say there's a rumor that when you fly the president, you have to be the best pilot. So my pilot's very good. Raise your hand, pilots. He took me in the other plane over, the National Collegiate game, the championship game. I say, do me a favor, buzz the stadium. As we arrived at the stadium, people going crazy. I said, Captain, I didn't mean you had to go that low, Captain. He seriously buzzed. He even did a little dip right in the middle. I said, what the hell is going on? But no, we have our best pilot. That's the way it should be. Marine One, the helicopters, and the plane. When you get to pilot for a president, that's your best. So thank you very much. Great. We're going to have a lot of fun together. But our pilots, designers, and engineers prepared an aircraft that is the largest Air Force One ever built. It flies further and faster than any Air Force One. Those are the giant engines. Those are incredible engines. It's the fastest. Flies further. You don't have to stop for fuel every few hours. You maybe will never have to stop for fuel. It's got, they call it unlimited. Well, it's pretty close to unlimited, and which is among the most beautiful aircrafts the Air Force will ever see or operate. You'll never have this opportunity again, and I want to thank everybody involved, including Tamim. But every man and woman here today should be incredibly proud of what we've all achieved, because this is representative of our country. Now when we land at airports in London and in Germany and different places, nobody tops this one. And that's the way we have to have it for our country. Nobody even comes close. So my return from the G7 summit was the last planned trip aboard the VC-25A. That's the 747. We'll probably do the museum thing. We'll get them fixed up a little bit, not like this one. And we'll do museums, but they're great planes. They have great history. It's a plane that was authorized by President Ronald Reagan so many years ago. I think they had a 707 before that, and it's in his museum. And that was flown by every president since George H.W. Bush. And it was a great plane. We had very little trouble with it. And Boeing has done a fantastic job. Boeing does a great job. They charge us too much, but other than that, said you got to get the prices down. But over its lifetime, that aircraft traveled to 96 countries on 223 international trips and flew over 6 million miles. It became the most famous, and as you know, it's actually 2 planes, because Air Force One is actually 2 planes. They're totally identical. The other ones I can't. The only way I can tell is on the desk. The wood grain is slightly different. They're literally interchangeable. You can hardly tell. It became the most famous airplane in the entire world, and I want to thank Presidential Airlift Group. The Presidential Airlift Group is unbelievable, the job they've done, and the 89th Airlift Wing, who have lovingly cared for that plane. And We just very rarely had any problems, which if you know something about airplanes, you do have some difficulty. We really had very little difficulty, but age was finally catching up to it, no matter what we did. But along with the two men who have piloted it during my presidency, so I'd get to introduce, because that's very important. When you're up there at 42,000 feet going at 600-700 miles an hour, you want to be very, very nice and appreciative to your pilot. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's a bad time. You ever hear where pilots go and they ask for a raise in the middle of flight? They always ask for a raise. They're working for some rich guy and they ask for the raise in the middle of the flight, and he always says, okay. But Air Force Colonel Pete Donnelly and Lieutenant Colonel Tyler Sanborn. That's pretty good. I guess they know you. That's the best hand. You got a bigger hand than I did. That's the end of your job. I don't like that. I'm not happy about that. No, these are great pilots. These are great, very talented people. The Air Force One team and the entire Presidential Airlift Group is amazing, brilliant people, and they love our country. We are tremendously grateful for everything that you do each and every day, and all of the people that work here. Look at the condition of this and how beautiful everything is. It's always tippy-top. It's tippy-top, and we appreciate it. So we're going to have a big July 4th at the Capitol, flying over the Capitol. The generals promised to do a lot of this stuff, not just human. We never see, where are they? Tell them to come back. They were so good at the fight. It did that one, and I've never seen that many. And they were right, it looked like they were a foot away from each other, going fast. I kept saying, when are they coming back? That was it. So we'll have them do a little bit of maneuvers back and forth. But again, you are very, very special people, and we're very, very lucky to have you. You're incredibly talented and brilliant in every way, and it's an honor to be with you. And again, this really deserved a send-off, because there's never been a plane like this ever built, and there will never be a plane like this built again. This has things that no other plane can ever have, including the ones that are being built, the more standard, as they call it, 747s. There will never be anything like what you're seeing behind me. So again, the press, you get ready. They're going to take you for a little tour, quickie. I think they don't want you to have cameras, so we'll get you pictures, but you'll see something like you've never seen before. And you also spend a lot of time there as we fly to different...
He just said a little quickie. Anyway, guys, make sure you get that double tap, hit that like button, hit subscribe, send people into the algorithm for our poll of the day, as it is every day on this show, with 30 minutes left in our show.
Thank you very much. I'm a great fan of everybody in this
Gavin Newsom still winning.
Brand new hangar, and God bless America. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right. Okay, let's move on to now Mr. Mamdani. He's going to hold his mayoral press conference about the shooting that happened in Times Square earlier today. Sorry, guys, for not interacting with the live chat today. I don't have the chat up, and I'm in the middle of cleaning, and I got a lot of stuff to do over the weekend. But we're going to keep the show rolling and keep it going for you guys. 8 minutes.
Good afternoon. I am here to brief on a barricaded perpetrator incident that resulted in one police officer being shot in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. The information that I'm about to provide is preliminary, and it is subject to change. At approximately 5:45 this morning, officers from the 79th Precinct responded to 190 Kosciuszko Street after a neighbor called 911 to report hearing approximately 7 shots fired inside a 2-story brownstone. Upon arrival, officers from the 79th Precinct heard additional gunfire coming from inside of the residence. Patrol officers attempted to make contact with the individual inside. After receiving no response, they made entry into the location where they observed a male holding a firearm. Officers withdrew from the residence at that time and requested additional specialized resources. At that time, the subject's wife and his son were able to safely exit the location. They relayed to police at the scene that the subject has a history of mental illness. Neither was injured. However, there was an elderly couple that was unable to exit one floor above. Members of the Emergency Service Unit, the hostage negotiation team, TARU, SRG, and additional personnel from the 79th Precinct responded to the scene, established a perimeter, and evacuated adjoining residences for more than 2 hours. Both hostage negotiators and the family made multiple attempts to establish a dialogue with the perpetrator. Officers were able to get in touch with the elderly couple on the second floor of the residence and instructed them to lock their bedroom door. Around 8:30 a.m., the subject began throwing large items out of the rear window into the backyard below where our officers were staged. These items included a microwave, a lamp, pots and pans, and other kitchen goods. Drone footage at the time showed the perpetrator clearly holding a handgun in his left hand. He continued to fire rounds from inside the apartment. No officers were struck at that time. At 8:52 a.m., officers from the Emergency Service Unit entered the location and encountered the individual at the top of the stairs on the same floor as the elderly couple, armed with a firearm. Officers gave multiple direct orders to drop the gun, but he refused. The perpetrator fired at our officers, striking one officer in the leg. At least 4 officers returned fire, striking the perpetrator. He was transported to Woodhull Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. Over the course of the incident, the perpetrator fired approximately 20 rounds from inside of the residence. The incident was captured on police body-worn camera and via multiple drones. 2 firearms were recovered at the scene, a Beretta handgun equipped with an extended magazine and a Jimenez Arms .380 caliber handgun. The officer who was shot is 15-year veteran detective Matthew Gale of the Emergency Service Unit. Detective Gale was immediately removed from the scene and transported here to Kings County Hospital, where he is being treated for a gunshot wound that resulted in a tibial fracture of the left leg. He is currently in stable condition. I just visited with Detective Gale and his wife, and I want to thank the doctors, the nurses, and the staff at Kings County Hospital for the care that they are providing to him. I am grateful to report that Detective Gale was in good spirits, and we are praying for a full and speedy recovery. The perpetrator is identified as 48-year-old Lamin Simmons. At this point in the investigation, we believe this incident began as a dispute involving the elderly couple on the second floor. What happened this morning is a reminder that the men and women of the NYPD routinely place themselves between danger and the people that they serve. They enter situations that are uncertain and volatile and often life-threatening. This morning, Detective Gale put his life on the line doing exactly that. I want to thank every cop who responded, particularly members of our Emergency Service Unit. We like to say that when the public needs help, they call the police. And when the police need help, they call ESU. ESU handles some of the most complex and dangerous assignments in this city, and today, once again, they met that danger with uncommon valor. I'm now going to turn it over to Mayor Mamdani.
Thank you, Commissioner Tisch. As you just heard from my police commissioner, earlier this morning, an NYPD officer was shot while responding to a call of shots fired on Kosciuszko Street between Marcy and Tompkins Avenue in Bed-Stuy. The officer was shot in the leg and, as you heard, is currently being treated here at Kings County Hospital. I just visited with his wife in the hospital, and I'm grateful that he is expected to survive, and I'm grateful to all of the incredible nurses and doctors and staff here at Kings County Hospital for doing everything that they can. The alleged perpetrator was shot on the scene and has since died. The first 911 call came in right before 6 a.m. The first officer on scene responded soon after, and the ESU officer who was wounded this morning responded to his call. I want to thank every person involved at each step of this incident, every professional who responded to an immensely challenging situation with professionalism and with calmness. Every day, thousands of NYPD officers go to great lengths to protect their fellow New Yorkers. What this officer from ESU did this morning, Detective Matthew Gale, is what so many officers do each morning. He put on his uniform, he left his house, he said goodbye to his family, and he went to his job to keep our city safe. When New Yorkers call 911, they expect someone to show up. What this officer and so many others today did was exactly that. I want to thank the first responders and the officers who acted so swiftly in the aftermath of this shooting, and I know that all New Yorkers will join me in wishing Detective Gale a full and speedy recovery. Thank you very much.
Question?
With two of these guns both fired, you know, there, and
So he's going to take a question.
and also
Stepped out.
they're in the process of negotiating with the suspect with their demands that he was making.
Weapon that was fired, but we don't know. We do not know which of the weapons was fired. We do know that there was a weapon that was fired, but we don't know if it is the two that we are showing there. We assume that it was, and I believe that the hostage negotiation team was unable to make contact with the subject, having called him several times. Chief, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
That's correct. Had the suspect had a prior interaction with police, and they talked about the EDP history.
There is no documented EDP history with the NYPD.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so that was that. Let's see what else we got today. Got some other news today going on. Let's hit refresh on today. Okay, 1919, we did that. Trump speaks. Ruben Gallego, Amazon, Democrat. Oh, here's the fisherman, the Portland guy. The Maine guy. See how long he's gonna talk, but maybe get him on this Friday. All right. This is the one that had like all the controversial shit. The Democrat was running the Maine. All right, guys. 20 minutes left in our poll. Gavin Newsom still holding strong, winning it out. He might be getting his 7th day in a row on this show. Keep your vote going. Double tap. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe. I'll be back in a minute. This is Labor Graham from Maine. He's quite a controversial.
I don't have enough space.
There we go. Better late than never.
It's not noon technically yet. My dad did say that if you're 5 minutes, or if you're not 5 minutes early, then you're 5 minutes late. Not that I had you guys.
It's Friday in Portland.
Yeah, I noticed that. There's a little less hustle. You hit this. Working class in a leadership. Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Sherman, and I've been a member of the Maine Service Employees Association and their PACER committee for 19 years, and 18 of those have been in a leadership role. I'm here today to join in my union's endorsement of Graham Platner for our United States Senator. I live in Sanford, which is the 8th largest municipality in Maine and located right in the heart of your county. It is a heavily working class community with a rich history in textile and manufacturing mills, along with forestry, farming, and agricultural roots. Good, salt of the earth folks, just like Graham. Our community has lost a great deal of the industry that fueled our local economy, fed our families, and kept a roof over our heads. Our local nonprofit hospital has greatly reduced services to the point that we only have a limited emergency room facility and no ability for inpatient care. In its place are for-profit corporate pop-up walk-in clinics who often advise that you need to go to the emergency room because they do not have the capability to render the care that's needed, but are more than willing to pocket our money as we walk out the door. Our children are leaving because they can't afford housing. Companies are moving in from out of state and buying up our single and multifamily homes and raising the rents to big city costs, or worse, turning them into short-term vacation rental properties with the prices being far above even what the going rental rate is. My daughter teaches in New York City and wanted to come home to raise her son. She was unable to do that as her pay would be half of her current income, but her housing cost would be the same as the cost of her New York City apartment. And that's unacceptable. It's all unacceptable. Graham has a common sense, no-nonsense approach, along with the drive and vision to make real changes for real working class people. People like us, our friends, our families, and our neighbors. Graham is one of us, and he understands the value of a hard day's work. Graham will work on all the issues that affect us. He will work to rebuild our failing healthcare system and defend Medicare and Medicaid, as well as Social Security. He will work to take decisive action on the housing crisis. He will work to protect Maine's economy, support small businesses, raise the federal minimum wage, support unions, and bring good union jobs to Maine. And Graham will work to defend our democracy and the Constitution and ensure equality for all. I welcome the opportunity to endorse and support a working class candidate who works as hard as we do and not only listens to our issues, but hears what we have to say and works towards an outcome that is greater than himself. I support Graham and pledge my time and energy into bringing his message to my community, my friends, and neighbors, so he is elected as our United States Senator and is able to work for all the good, hardworking people of Maine. And I ask all of you to join me and our brothers and sisters in supporting Graham Platner as our United States Senator.
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan French. I live in Hollowell, and I am a third-generation public servant for the state of Maine and member of MSEA SEIU Local 1989. I'm currently employed as a transportation engineer with the Maine Department of Transportation, where I've worked for over 25 years. In my time as a union activist and leader, I can say I have never seen such excitement and energy around a candidate for U.S. Senate as I have seen with Graham Platner. The first time I actually heard him speak in person was this past May 1st, International Workers' Day, right here in Portland. I was struck by not only how eloquent he sounded for an oyster farmer from Sullivan, but how much labor history he knew. I consider Franklin Delano Roosevelt's presidency to be one of the most consequential for labor history. So when Graham referenced how Roosevelt built power to change our laws, to empower workers and working families to bring us out of the worst economic crisis in history, I was all ears. Graham not only wants to start a political revolution to rebuild that power, to save and strengthen our democracy, and create a government that serves working people and not just corporations and billionaires, but he actually has a blueprint to do it that was proven successful decades ago. Speaking of history, his opponent, Susan Collins, had her own moment to stand up for freedom and democracy in 2018, similar to how Margaret Chase Smith stood up for those same principles with her Declaration of Conscience speech on the same Senate floor in June of 1950. Senator Collins' vote would be a deciding one in the confirmation process of one of the most unqualified Supreme Court Justice nominees in history, Brett Kavanaugh. However, instead of standing up to her party, Collins gave about a 43-minute speech abandoning any democratic values and any Maine values she may have once stood for in expressing her support for this nominee. For her, it was a declaration of cowardice that has now defined who she is and who she represents. She also recently reaffirmed this choice last week in spite of the votes that Kavanaugh has taken to weaken our democracy and ignore not only the rule of law, but the separation of powers itself. Her supporters would point to all the money that she has brought to Maine over the years, which comes as the part of a job as a U.S. Senator. However, the money she brings home pales in comparison to the vote she takes to cut Medicaid, SNAP benefits, and countless other federal programs and funding that working Mainers rely on. What I know is not only will Graham Platner be a senator for people who can't buy a senator, but he'll be a senator who won't sell out American democracy and Maine values for a ribbon-cutting ceremony. This is why I am proud and excited to be here today to support Graham and his campaign for U.S. Senate. I can't wait to see how we can build power for workers and working families and protect and strengthen our democracy when together we win back this Senate seat in November.
Hello, my name is Mark Brunton. I'm from Lewiston, and I'm proud to serve as the president of the Maine Service Employees Association, Local 1989 of the Service Employees International Union. We're proud to represent over 13,000 workers across Maine, both active and retired, mainly in the public sector and the private nonprofit sector. The thread that ties all our members together is that we are service workers. We show up day in and day out to serve the people of Maine, and we work to make our state the very best it can be. That's why today, I'm proud to stand here with Graham Platner to announce our union's endorsement of his campaign for U.S. Senate. I come from a union family. My grandfather was a Teamster, born in 1925 in Mars Hill, Maine. His education was in hard work in the fields, where he learned to drive teams of horses as a boy. Eventually, horses gave way to trucks, and he drove freight trucks for a regional company called Coles Express. In 1980, my grandfather earned the equivalent of $120,000 a year in today's money. He had a pension, he had health insurance, he had dental insurance. He and my Grammy raised 2 kids, and when he retired in 1987, his union pension carried them through the rest of their lives. That's what one union job once provided for one working family in rural Maine. But his story of union membership was not all bread and roses. My grandfather spent his last working years on a picket line because the company broke the union contract and then sold the business to a national corporation. The Cole family walked away with a big payout. The workers got shafted. And New England lost a locally owned company it had relied on for decades. My grandfather's story is not unusual or unique. It is the story of rural America in my lifetime, of every mill town in this state. It's the story of shoe factories, textile mills, and paper mills closing down and moving to right-to-work states, and offshoring jobs to countries where workers earn poverty wages, all in the name of corporate profits. What happened to those workers and is now happening to us didn't happen by accident. It happened because the people who own this country, the billionaires and the corporations, have made deliberate decisions to take it all back from us. Since 1979, productivity in the U.S. has grown by roughly 80%. Meanwhile, the typical worker's pay, adjusted for inflation, has grown about 1/4 of that. And the rest, the surplus that you and I and my fellow workers and everyone in this room produced with their own hands and minds, flows upward. But today, I have hope. We have a very important election coming up this November. And with it, we have the chance to elect a true champion of working Mainers, and to send him to Washington as our next U.S. Senator. And that champion is Graham Platner. Graham doesn't just talk the talk. He's a working class Mainer who has shared in the struggles we are all facing. He truly understands the issues that impact us because he's one of us. He's not part of the political elite, and he wasn't handpicked by the wealthy to be our next senator. He's committing to fighting for every single one of us in Washington, to making sure our voices are heard, and to advancing policies that will help all Mainers. Unlike Senator Collins, who has rubber-stamped federal funding cuts that impact the services our members provide, Graham will fight to ensure we have the resources we need to not only deliver services to the people of Maine, but also to live a life of dignity by earning living wages. He'll support legislation like the PRO Act, which makes it easier for workers to form and join unions. And most of all, he will listen to us Mainers. Senator Collins hasn't held a public town hall in years. Meanwhile, Graham has crisscrossed the state, meeting with Mainers all across the state. We can count on him not only to do the right thing in Washington, but to always listen to us and have our backs. For all those reasons, I'm proud that our union has endorsed Graham Platner for U.S. Senate, and I look forward to seeing him elected in November.
Rachel, Jonathan, Mark, thank you so much. Also, just so everybody knows, Mark is one of the first people I met on this entire weird experience that has been running for United States Senate. And so it's an absolute honor to be here today. It's an honor to be endorsed by SEIU MSEA. One of the largest unions in Maine, 13,000 members. A union that represents the people that day in and day out show up to provide services for the people of the state, to make sure that our society continues to function. And to be endorsed by you is an absolute honor. And I am very much looking forward to fighting back against all the issues that your membership, and frankly, the average working person in Maine, continues to face. You know, we have federal grants, funding cuts that are not making it up here, or funding cuts to federal grants, so money's not making it up here now. Grants that MSEA employees rely on that keep jobs and services going. You know, Susan Collins has supported Trump's cuts to critical funding infrastructure that supports direct care workers, you guys represent. You know, highways and hospitals, they do not build themselves. And we need to be investing in building those kinds of programs, and we need to be investing in the workforce that provides those resources to the Maine community. For a long time, establishment politicians have been hollowing out pay and pension plans and trying to sell it all off to the highest bidder. And that all needs to come to an end. We are living in an America that in many ways we shouldn't be. We should not be living in a society where direct care workers are working 40+ hours a week and still relying on SNAP or Medicaid, programs that Susan Collins has been happy to vote against or try to cut. We should not be living in an America where MSEA members who work as immigration social workers, case managers, support staff, where they are now bearing the brunt of a broken immigration system, while politicians like Susan Collins dump all the money.
Honestly, guys, I've been listening to this guy this whole time and these people that are representing him, and it feels, again, just kind of like with Mamdani, very Trumpian, very, like, against the system. And again, I encourage you all, whether you're left or right, vote against any name that you know. We all know who Susan Collins is. We all know it's a crepid walking skeleton. Don't choose color, choose person. This is a lobster guy. You want to do the quote from Trump, central casting, here you go. Way better for Maine than Susan Collins. I'll just say that right now. Like, we're not playing red-blue on these things, okay? Not playing red-blue on these things, and I will give it to this guy. Also, like what they're saying, but they might be bullshitting. But again, give him a chance. We already know that Susan Collins is already lying to us, right, guys? 4 minutes left in the poll. 4 minutes left in our poll, guys. Gavin Newsom, 43%. JD Vance, 32%. Why does it do that? Oh, my God. All right. And now
into agencies like ICE, so they can continue running around and terrorizing people instead of having a functional immigration system. We are living in a society which is the outcome of policy. We are living with the outcomes of decisions that are made by establishment politicians who for decades have been doing everything to serve those who donate the most money to them, have done everything to protect their own personal political power, and have done almost nothing to expand the services and to build a society that is actually going to provide for the average working person in this state and in this country. And I'm very much looking forward to what we get to do next together. The start of this is going to be building power. You know, at the end of the day, I firmly believe that we are facing fascism in this country. Historically, the only thing that's ever beaten that is a broad-based working-class coalition. We need to rebuild the old alliances of labor unions, community organizations, immigrant rights groups, civil rights groups, and political organizations to build power the old-fashioned way, from the ground up. Because in a society where organized money currently holds all the power.
Yeah, again, he can't talk, but it doesn't matter. He's better than Susan Collins. Sorry, just gonna say
only
it.
way
Don't
we
care what he
fight back
did.
is by
Throw whatever
organizing
dirt you want on people.
The
Give
great
this
thing
guy a
about
chance.
the
At
labor
least he
movement
hasn't done it yet.
is that it never forgot how to do that. It never forgot that real
I don't have to
power
walk into shit house and not
comes
sing
from the
who looks like
ability
Bobby
of working
Singer.
folks to organize together and advocate for themselves.
Going against Susan Collins.
Historically,
I want that
is
lady
the
gone.
only
Like,
way
I don't care.
we
I don't
ever get to move the ball
guys,
forward
I
towards
treat this like
justice and
wrestling.
equality.
You guys are like, I'm a SmackDown fan, and then everybody's like, no, I'm a Raw fan. You Raw fans are crazy. I love SmackDown. Shut up! It's the same fucking thing. Get rid of the characters you don't like. Replace them with cast members you do like. I like this guy, Maine. He's doing the whole union thing. He's got the mustache. He's the lobster farmer. I don't care if he touched his wife or what he did in all the dirt. He hasn't fucked up yet. Susan Collins is literally like walking, talking Parkinson's. Just, and if you're gonna be like, actually, I like WWE Raw. I don't like the SmackDown brand. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna vote for Susan Collins. Like, come on, vote for what's entertaining. He's been entertaining for somebody that we've never seen on the show so far. He's been pretty damn
We get
entertaining.
to build that power now. And when we do,
Gotta say that.
we then get to work on policy.
Guys, you can
We
never
get to
trust
work
me. I voted for
together
Jasmine Crockett.
to remove the cap on Social Security taxable benefits, or
You can never trust me.
Social Security tax rate. That way we can expand Social Security benefits, not just protect it, not just keep the trust fund
And
from
vote the
running
shit
dry,
out you got in now.
but
Exactly,
expand
Michael.
benefits so Americans can retire earlier after a life of hard work, because that was the deal.
Oh, and with
expand the
that
right to
said,
unionize.
guys, our first poll of the evening is done, but we did. We crossed the threshold. We crossed the threshold yet again for a second night in a row. Gonna throw an ad on you people that don't have YouTube Premium. Thank you guys for watching. And we're gonna go to our second hour of the poll on a Friday night. Who will be president in 2028? 871 days until election. And we got right now, who's up here? We got Gavin Newsom in first place, and he's on a 7-day tear, guys. Is he gonna, or he's on a 6-day tear? Is he gonna get day 7 here? This will be day 7 in a row if he wins this one. And he's up against Mr. JD Vance. No third party in this second hour. We'll see if we get to a third hour, if we can get to over 20,000. Make sure you double tap, hit that like button, hit subscribe, send people into the algorithm for the poll of the day, as it is every day on this show. Get your votes in now. JD Vance winning with just one vote in, 100%. All right, let's do the end of this lobster guy, and then we'll get somebody else on
Ability
here.
of working
Then
people
I got to throw some
to
shit
organize
out.
in the workplace,
I got somebody
to
calling my house
advocate
like
for
2.5 hours,
themselves.
guys.
That is one of the best
Y'all
tools
can't be
we have
keeping
in a
me
real
busy. I
democracy
gotta bore the shit out of you
protect
so that we
ourselves
can
from
be done with the
oligarchy.
show.
Protect ourselves from control by the money. We used to have these laws in place that allowed people to do it, and we have systemically broken the back of organized labor on purpose for decades. It is time for us to turn that ship around. It is time for us to return to
agree.
a world where we pass policy, not just
Give 'em a
to make
chance.
things fair, but frankly, to protect and incentivize
Remove
organized
anybody
labor,
that you already know
to make
is,
sure that we
is
have
lying to you.
a national
And
labor
everybody in
relations
Congress
board
is lying to
that
you.
shows up in good faith.
You don't know yet.
That isn't simply there
might be
to
lying.
act on
You
behalf
never know.
of corporations and bosses, but is actually there to act as an intermediary on things like
Kind of how
unfair
I feel
labor
about everybody.
practices.
I even give Jasmine
We can
Crockett
get
a
this
chance.
because we've had it before.
Fuck Tellerico.
But we have to change the rules. The other side changed the rules for a long time, and it's our time to rebuild power and change the rules for ourselves. We need to strengthen the ability of public sector workers to bargain. Right now, we have seen time and time again laws passed that strip away public sector workers' real ability to organize and advocate for themselves. Those are choices that we make, and we have to move them in a different direction. And then last but not least, we need massive federal investment in public programs.
Yes, a Nazi that hasn't voted yet being elected into the Senate is better than walking, talking Parkinson's, God knows how long she's been in here, Susan Collins, okay? New characters. We're always voting for new characters.
And that means
even if they're Nazis.
MSEA workers to provide those things.
Even if they're Nazis.
The challenges this country faces, the challenges
new
ahead,
characters. Always.
We are done playing around in the margins. We are done making minor changes to existing policy. We need to dream big again. And we know that we can because we've done it before. We have the legacy of the New Deal. We have the legacy of Medicaid and Medicare. Hell, we have the legacy of the highways. There was a time when this country understood that for us to face the challenges of the future, we must harness all of the work ethic and the creativity of the American people, and we must put resources into it, public resources, to build a future for the public. And that is something we can absolutely do, and it is my honor to stand here today and be endorsed by you all, and I cannot wait to take part in this fight with you down the road. I really appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
There we go. All right, let's see what else we got today. I mean, we don't got much left in here for this second hour, I don't look like. I'm going to have to kind of dry you guys out. Got a Governor Landry does a news conference about storm damage. Governor of Louisiana? How long is this? All right, that's 15 minutes. Have fun, guys. No, I want it in the fucking ear. God, this techie bullshit. We got like no news today, guys, so enjoy this.
All right. Okay, y'all all ready? All right, well, good afternoon. First and foremost, I would like the people of the affected area of the Unveils Parish and those elsewhere around Louisiana who have been affected by Tropical Storm Arthur to know that we are doing everything we can at this current time to bring as much relief as we can. Unfortunately, in an area like Unveils Parish and what you all what you all experienced was one of those what we hope is one of those once in a lifetime events. The amount of rainfall was simply historic. And in fact, they're still calculating. They believe that that it probably will break a state record for the amount of waterfall in such a short period of time. May get to 30 inches or more. I know that we've got about 200 houses at this time that we know of that have been impacted. We have leaned in through GOSEP and through our faith-based organizations. We've got the Catholic bishops, the Family Research Council, the Red Cross. Tunica Biloxi is helping us as well. This is going to be a completely community effort, a neighborly effort. We were able to fly over many of the impacted areas. My hope is that we don't have many more structures that will flood before we're able to drain all of the water. We came here today, of course, I'm with Congressman Julia Letlow. This is her district. We've got Senator Heather Cloud, Representative Dow Desatel, the chairman of Finance, Glenn Womack, and Representative Mike Echols as well. I've got my FEMA, my GOSEP director who will be working closely with FEMA on this disaster. I know that we've got the sheriff and the parish president as well, and then General Freelou. We had a great meeting. Our presence here is really to look, to listen, and to learn, and to make sure that we're getting the resources that people need. I will tell you that, and I'll let her speak on that a little bit more, but that on the way from the airport to here, Secretary of Homeland Security Mark Wayne Mullen actually called Congresswoman Letlow, and we had a great conversation with him. He is anticipating getting a declaration of emergency as soon as we can get the numbers that we need to him. He will be bringing that to the president's desk as soon as possible. However, to do that, we need some help from the public. There's a website that we need you to go to, which is la.damage. Damage. Let me go back to this. It is damage.la.gov. So again, if you have a home or a business or a farm that has been impacted by this event, we want you to go to damage.la.gov. Fill out the information there. The faster you can fill that information out, the quicker we can aggregate that data and make sure that it meets the federal threshold and then move it up the chain. I'll let Congresswoman Letlow speak to that process for just a second.
Sure. Thank you, Governor, and to the residents of Unveils Parish. We heart with you today, and most importantly, we stand ready to help you get through this, and you will. We are a resilient state and parish, and we stand ready to help you rebuild. And we have a wonderful working relationship with our partners, with Governor. Just like you said, I had a wonderful conversation with Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. We are ready to get that disaster declaration up to the president's desk to sign. Again, we just need your support. We need you to go to damage.la.gov to report your damages. And that goes to my farmers, too. I'm waiting on a call back from Secretary Brooke Rollins. She is all in support of helping our farmers recover. I know that there was a huge loss in Unveils Parish there as well. So the federal government stands ready to help. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get everybody back up on their feet as quickly as possible. But I'm so grateful to all of the elected local officials for stepping up, everybody who is helping a neighbor right now in times of need. And please don't hesitate to reach out to my office. We stand ready to help serve and help everybody get back on their feet. Thank you so much, Governor.
Just a couple of quick points, and then we'll take some questions. We know that we've got a couple of shelters that are open. We encourage people to use those shelters as they are open. We've got MREs and pallets of water, other resources as well. We'll keep pouring those in as we get those requests from the parish. The other issue I would like to warn or caution the citizens out there. You are going to encounter more mosquitoes. So when the sun goes down, go in your house or find some shelter to get out of there. Take your pets out there as well. We are going to be working on trying to get some mosquito abatement assets up here. And the reason that I say that is I've flown over it, and normally y'all are high and dry, and I'm real wet where I live. And so I know something about those mosquitoes and standing water. But the more that standing water is around, the greater the danger is.
What a day, guys. What a day. What do we got going on here? We got 6 minutes out of this 15 left. All right, we're gonna keep this going. But I did not think that this was as severe as it is. This is pretty crazy. Over 30 inches of rain scheduled to fall in Louisiana, or already happening, storm damage. This just insane. I'm going to keep going with the rest of this. I mean, I don't know how much other stuff we have tonight, guys, but get your votes in for that poll now. 15 minutes left of the show.
So again, if you're experiencing, unusual mosquito activity in the area, I again urge you to contact the parish so we can start to pinpoint that as we move these assets. The other thing I want to talk about real quick, because the press is here, is the unfortunate position we find ourselves in, and many of the homes that are out there don't have flood insurance. And they don't have flood insurance because Congress, quite frankly, just refuses to fix it. I want you to know that your Congresswoman has stood by you each and every one of those times that we've tried to fix that flood insurance. And I would urge the United States Senate to start to take some action and to take this seriously. Because since 2007, the people of Unveils Parish and many around Louisiana have dropped their flood insurance because the premiums have risen to a point where they can't afford it. And it's unfortunate today because now we're going to have to go right back to the federal government to help those same people who would be doing the right thing and would have that coverage. But this is a great example why it's time to start sending people to Washington who stand up to get things done and stop standing in the way of getting things done. I was talking to the Commissioner of Insurance this afternoon as we were going through the inventory, and I think only 800 policyholders in all of Avoyelles Parish, only 800 homes, are covered by flood insurance. And that is disappointing. And I'm not blaming the citizens out there because they can't afford it, because Washington refuses to fix this. And so, again, I am hoping to have a very frank discussion with those members of Congress to fix this once and for all. With that, I'll take any questions that we might have. Y'all don't have any questions. That means we're doing good.
As these once-in-a-lifetime floods, as you call them, seem to be more prevalent in Louisiana, is the state doing anything long-term to combat changing weather like this?
Yeah, look, I think the most important point is that we have to start learning to go on the offense rather than the defense. One of the things that we've been doing since my term as governor began, and we just reorganized, if y'all remember, GOSEP over the last couple of years. We have been actively working to build a common operating picture that is virtual, so that in Baton Rouge at GOSEP, we've got a map. We started with Hurricane, it started under Hurricane Francine, and we started working more closely with the Water Institute and the Corps of Engineers to understand the modeling so that we can predict where that water is going to go, maybe before or right as it's going, to be able to push those resources. I will let you know that Louisiana's future flood fight is going to be driven by technology and stronger science. In fact, I want to give a shout out. I think General Mahfouz actually started purchasing, as this event occurred, satellite imagery every day now that we're able to plug in to say, okay, this is where the water's going. This is how we move this water out quicker and faster, so that when we have these types of events, we can mitigate the damage that is placed in today. So we are, I will tell you that we're better off than we were 3 years ago. Unfortunately for the folks in the Avoyelles Parish, we aren't there yet. But our hope is that if you unfortunately experience this type of rainfall again in the not so distant future, we'll be ready to be able to handle that kind of water.
Do you have any thoughts on the state police superintendent's retirement?
No, look, I can tell you, Colonel Hodges, as always, when him and I, when I asked him to serve at a time when the state police was seeing probably some of his darkest days, he took up the call and said, look, at some point in time, I'm going to retire. And he's expressed his desire to retire in the fall, I think is when he's talking about leaving. He's got two beautiful daughters that are in college, and I can certainly appreciate wanting to spend more time with our family. I think that we look forward to transition. His chief of staff, Frank Besson, they work hand in hand, is going to take over when he departs. And so I think that it's going to be a smooth transition, and those things happen. And he's done an excellent job. I think that all of our cabinet secretaries have done an excellent job. DOTD, Conservation, GOSEP, and the likes have done a great job in serving the citizens of this state.
What's the next steps when it comes to people here in the Avoyelles Parish? What is something that you would tell them?
Yeah, again, I think that this is a great way to kind of wrap it up if we don't have any more questions. And it's wrapped up in this way. We really need the public's help right now. If you have been impacted by Tropical Storm Arthur, if your home has been flooded, if your business has been impacted, if your farm has been impacted, we really, really need you to go to damage.la.gov. Damage.la.gov. The more information you folks in the news media can do to help us get that website out. The good news is, in these kind of events, because we haven't had a whole lot of wind damage. We don't have a lot of people without power. And those that are, I know we're getting them on as quickly as we can if they can receive that power, and that's important as well. But communication's up, which means that people who have smartphones you can literally do it on your smartphone. You can go to damage.la.gov, get the information in there. That information goes directly to GOSEP. That gives us an opportunity to package it up and get it to FEMA right away so that it can get to the president's desk. Okay?
And was it just this parish that received the more of the damage, or did you guys see any other places around near this?
Well, certainly this parish has seemed to have the most flood damage. We've had some parishes down south, Terrebonne, Lafourche, Jefferson, St. Tammany, that have been impacted. And if those folks are watching as well, we'd urge them to go to damage.la.gov as well. We think that some of those parishes may meet that threshold as well. I feel pretty confident based upon what I saw from the air that we're going to meet the threshold here, and certainly with the help of Congresswoman Letlow and her relationship with Mark Wayne Mullen and the president, that's going to help us get there quicker.
When you were surveying, was there anything specific that stuck out to you?
Just the sheer amount of water, and the fact that that water is moving a lot slower than I'd like it to move, and seeing that the homes that have several feet of water was certainly impactful. And again, I'm concerned about the health and welfare after this. If that water stands around a long time, we want to make sure that we take care of our mosquito abatement.
How's everybody doing? How are we doing tonight, guys? Make sure you double tap, hit that like button, hit subscribe. Send people into the algorithm for a poll of the day, as it is every day.
Flooded soybean fields and cornfields. This comes at a time when corn farmers have already replanted once, twice, even so far. If there is disaster aid, that's going to be pennies on the dollar that they're going to have to spend back on exorbitant fertilizer and diesel fuel. What's being done to abate that right now?
Sure. Well, we have a long record of success of providing those disaster dollars to farmers in their times of need. And I'm going to go to the mat to fight for them again this time around. So it won't be any different. Again, go to damage.la.gov or go to the FSA office as well. Our farmers know what to do in times of need, and I'm going to be there for them to make sure that we see this all the way through.
And look, we saw the president has reached a deal where they're going to open the Straits of Hormuz. That should start to help diesel prices start to fall. And so our hope is that affordability will start to reach into the pockets of our citizens here as well. Okay, thank y'all so much.
All right, guys, that's the governor of Louisiana. Let's see what else we got going on now. Trump spoke. We got Ruben Gallego, Democrat from Arizona, meeting with the Democrats. Meets with South Carolina Democrats.
In Greenville, state of South Carolina, every voter, every county, and we've been doing it now since June of last year, and we are so grateful and gracious that the senator accepted our invitation to come, and he's game to go everywhere. We started this morning off at 8:30 in Greenville, South Carolina. Now we're here at, what time is it? 12, and we're in Union, and we're going to leave here and we're going to go to Greenwood because all of our voters matter, and we know how important this type of voter engagement is, not just during the election year, but all year round, and we're committed to doing that. And I'm glad that we have partners like Senator Gallego from Arizona who is committed to helping us get this done. But without further ado, I want to bring up, she's also a camera woman, but the chair for the Union County Democratic Party, she can stop being live, to bring greetings for her county and to also give a brief introduction to Senator Gallego, since they're both veterans. All right.
All right, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Everybody feeling good? Yes. Did everybody get some chicken? Yes. Okay. I made it myself at KFC. You enjoyed it? Okay, make sure you get your to-go plate. We want to welcome everybody here today. It has been a really exciting time in Union County, so we are happy to have you here with us today. If you are in the room and you are part of our officer corps, our folks that really help out, could I just get you to stand up? I don't know if the camera's going to swing around. Miss Rose Rice here. She has been our executive committee woman for years. She's taken a break. Right now, she's our interim secretary. And our first vice chair, Robert Larry Williams, is running for our state representative for District 42, representing Mighty Union and part of Lawrence County. And of course, we have some other folks here. County Councilwoman Carolyn Rutherford is in the room. Raise your hand, ma'am. She represents District 5. We have Mallory Dittmer here, who is going to be our next CD5 representative. And I want to thank the staff for SCDP, especially Michaela Walcott, for dealing with me when it comes to all this good stuff. And over in the corner hiding is our Union County Tourism Director, Curtis Ann Hunter. She's all the way over there. She has on our Juneteenth shirt. So I wanted to say all of that because it takes more than just me to make things like this happen. And under the leadership of folks like Crystal Spain and Jay Parmley, we're able to do what we got to do. I want to forget Ray Jones. He's our NAACP Union Branch president over there. So we have a lot of dignitaries. We have a first vice chair, South Carolina House District 11. Jessica Beasley is in the house as well. Did I forget anybody? Okay. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to do that, right? Okay. All right. So without further ado, as a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, I'm not going to hold it against Senator Gallego, who was a Marine infantryman. So hand clap for that. Yeah. He served his country in other capacities and continues to serve as the junior senator from Arizona. So I don't want to take any more time from you. Let's give him a hand clap and a warm welcome. Here you go.
Thank you. Well, thank you for taking your Friday Juneteenth holiday to come and hear me speak. I really appreciate it. First of all, thank you to everyone that is here to help the Democratic cause. It's not easy doing that. You know, I'm very, very proud of what we've been able to do in Arizona. Arizona was a really red state, and with the help of a lot of people like y'all, people that believed in being able to change the state, not for Democrats, but for, you know, the poorest of the state, the people that are just trying to make it, the people that are just trying to have a chance at the American dream. You know, the fact that you're willing to stay in the fight when it is very difficult to do that, I greatly appreciate it. It's not easy. For those that are running, thank you. For the spouses that allow us to run, thank you for allowing us to run, because it's not easy either. But the reason we have to run is because it is the time and the effort needs to be put in. You have to believe you have a chance to win in order for you to start making that real change, right? And you know, I speak from true experience in Arizona. When we were running, people told us Arizona could never change, right? It was going to always be a red state. But we believed, and we started, you know, with as many young people as I see here. It was young activists and voters that decided they wanted to change the state, because we wanted a state that was going to be responsive to us, that was actually going to look out for us, that was going to invest in us when it comes to education, as I was talking to one of the candidates here. It was going to give us a chance to buy a house, to actually have a chance to get a good job, to actually a chance to actually enjoy life. And we were not seeing that from the Republican Party. And sure as heck, you know, years later, 2018 rolls around, and we finally are able to really strike and be able to win so many races. And I think you guys are in the same opportunity here in South Carolina. People are hungry. They're hungry for politics that actually is answering to them, right? They're hungry for someone to actually care about them. And they're not seeing that from the Republican Party, right? And they're certainly not seeing it from Donald Trump. And when things are really rough, things are really bad, you want someone to care for you, and you want someone to believe in you, and you want someone to know that they're fighting for you. And they're not going to see that when they look at the Republican Party. What do they see? When the cost of health care is going through the roof, they're cutting Medicaid for the poorest of our country. and effectively hurting rural America that are trying to figure out how to even get any type of health care. When the going gets tough, we're talking about trying to figure out how to bring costs down. They're starting wars in foreign countries that are only going to drive up the costs even more, and then sending many of our young men and women into those battles and still not knowing how we're getting out of it. When the going gets really tough when it comes to electricity prices, all we're seeing is them getting closer and closer to the Elon Musks of the world and just driving the costs of your utility bills every day. And let's not even talk about food. If you have young kids right now, it is expensive at that grocery store. How many blueberries you guys got to be buying? The blueberry cartel is something we have to really invest and look into. But the prices are just through the roof. And all we're seeing is a Republican Party that does not want to answer to any of that. And when things are rough, again, you want someone to fight for you. I grew up in not the best of economic situations. My mom, raised me and her 4 kids on her own. And it's really through her hard effort that we were really truly able to live the American dream. She sent all of us to college, then she went back and got her own college degree. She was able to produce a doctor out of that family, not a U.S. senator. That's actually not the top dog in the family. It's definitely the doctor in the family. But it was because we really did believe in the American dream. And also because the American dream was something that was truly attainable to us. We were told if you work hard, you keep your nose clean, get good grades, you're going to be able to succeed in America. And I believed it. And my sisters believed it. And that's why we are where we are in life right now. But there's a lot of Americans right now, from all walks of life, black, white, Latino, doesn't matter, that feel if they work hard, they're just not going to make it. Sometimes they feel like actually their kids are actually going to end up being worse off than them. And as a parent, that's the worst feeling you could ever have inside your soul, knowing that you could work, and your kids may not be any better than you were. The fact is, this country is not fighting for that future. This country is not fighting for the future of our kids or even fighting for everyday Americans that are just trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And it's only getting worse and worse. And so this year of all years, Democrats can really own that. We can really be the people that fight for the part of America that still believes in the American dream or wants to believe in the American dream or wants to actually give it a little bit of hope to it. And it's tough out there. Right now, the average person for the first-time home buyer is the age of 40. 40. Those people are not able to start families. They're not able to have any type of financial stability. And we, as government, we as elected officials need to answer that. We need to make it easier for someone to buy a home, to start a business, to feel stable, to breathe a little, take a vacation, and actually truly live an American dream. Until we do that, the politics of hate, of division is going to take over. So this year, South Carolina Democrats, we need to be the party of the future. We need to be the party that's going to give them that chance at the American dream. And when we do that, that's when you win the red states. That's when you win the red counties. That's when you actually inspire people to maybe look at us, look at Democrats one more time and say, you know what, I'm going to give them a chance. But when we win it, we got to come through for them. So I really, really appreciate everyone coming out. I really appreciate everyone that's running for office. This is the year. I believe in you guys. Just like people didn't believe in Arizona many years ago, I believe in South Carolina. And I think the South Carolina Democrat Party is going to have some big surprises this year. And when you do, it's going to make a big difference. So thank you so much. And Chairwoman, I'll take questions. Take any questions. Easy, bye. And let me see I want to see who the veterans are too, though, because I definitely want to give a couple of my veterans some coins. It's a Marine Corps coin, though, so I don't know if you're going to be happy about that. Yeah. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you for running. Got another veteran back here. You have a question. What's that? Yeah, Army. Here we go. Here. I got you. Don't worry. Guess what? Got one saved right for you. Yes.
You're not going to give us the questions? Jesus Christ, guys.
Well, it's I
you have to put a mic in front of the question, guys. All right, that's crazy. Where are we at? Is anybody even watching this thing anymore? 57. We're still actively there. We're 2,000 away from potentially doing a 4th hour. We did have a major drop off here, so hopefully we're just done. Hopefully we're just done, guys. 29 minutes left in the poll. JD Vance taking it right now. I guess we can go back to this guy, but I just want to see if there's anything else. Yeah, I got the main guy. He's good. He's done. This is it. That's it, guys. Only thing left that I could even do is the form. All right. After this guy, we're done.
Now 20.
There's all that's left.
Returning from the war. There's a couple things we have to do. Number one, we have to take the stigma away from getting therapy and getting help. For many years, me and my friends, we were tough infantrymen, right? We saw the worst combat in the world. And even though I started seeing these things happening to me, I refused to accept that I had PTSD, and a lot of my friends refused to accept it. And I put it off for so long; it affected me, for years, and still does. Some of my friends that are firefighters, police officers, pilots also refused to do it because they were afraid that if they started putting down they had PTSD, that they would get rejected from jobs, that they would get stigmatized. Sometimes I get it, like I'll get, the online screed that, Ruben Gallego is this angry veteran because of PTSD. So a lot of people just don't do that. So number one, take the stigma away, right? Number two, we have to look at how we treat our veterans as importantly, as urgently as how quickly we send them into war. Because they sent me into Iraq pretty quickly, and they got me out of Iraq pretty quickly. And they were very good about taking care of me while I was there. But when I got back, and I remember when I first went to meet my a VA counselor and try to seek help, they told me that I didn't have a problem. They didn't analyze me. They just said, yeah, you look okay, so you don't have a problem, right? I had one guy that my best friend, who I had to drive from Arizona to Phoenix for you East Coast people. That's about 6 hours of driving, just to try to stop him from committing suicide, because he actually went to a VA, and they told him he never saw combat because his paperwork hadn't caught up. So it's just like the little things of just valuing even a veteran goes a long way. We also have to get out of the mode of everyone treating the same way. Like, I did well sitting down with a therapist and talking about my grief and my guilt and everything else like that. Some other veterans just don't. And we don't give them the full latitude to actually, try different types of therapy. So there's actually new therapies that deal with using, psychedelics to help them talk better, talk quicker, get through therapy quicker. There's other therapies that we just have not allowed veterans to explore. We have veterans that are flying to Mexico, by the way, to go meet with therapists using experimental drugs. They should not have to be leaving the country to get service for the work that they did before us. And then the most, and that's just on the therapy side. The secondary thing is when you get out is the most important time. I was very lucky. I got out, I had a very stable family community that took care of me. I could not hold a job for the first 6 months when I left the war. It was very hard for me to concentrate. I was still edgy, everything else like that. But I had, family, friends, probably my mama checking in on me actually, who cared about me and who made sure that I had enough time to transition. There was a lot of other friends that did not have of mine that did not have that luck. Some of them ended up sleeping on my couch for a while until I was actually able to get them going. But there's also veterans that just fall through. When a veteran comes back from a war or from service, the first thing we need to do is make sure they have a job right away, right? Because a person, especially some of these men that come from some of these infantry organizations, need to have a sense of purpose. Because when you're in the military, you wake up, you have a sense of purpose every day. You're with your unit, you have objectives to meet that day, whether it's on the non-military side or on the non-infantry side or the infantry side, you have cohesion, you have people that look out for you. But then when you leave the military, you're kind of just left on your own. You can't just allow these young men and women to suddenly just transition out without any care to them. So making sure they have a job, making sure that they have purpose in their lives will be half the battle to make sure they don't start sliding, right? Because if you let them slide too long, then it's hard for them to get into a job, then it's hard for them to housing. But purpose, right therapy, and making sure that they have stable housing, you do those three things right away, the chances of someone going into, sliding into a point where they want to commit suicide reduces. And the amount of people that commit suicide, veterans that commit suicide,
most of them, majority of them, have never even sought veteran services. And so that's important that we always try to push them to it. The VA is not perfect. The VA is way better than it has been in the past. So just always encourage them to please reach out. And if they don't have a good experience with the VA, tell them to reach out to their congressmen and to the senators, because we work all the time to make sure that we take care of our veterans. Yes.
It's weird when they don't talk, like you can't hear.
I don't know the answer to that for everyone else. We actually don't have as many veterans running as we used to in the past, because there aren't that many people that serve as the past. Especially like if you think about the World War II and Vietnam community, about only 1% of America will ever serve, and then of that, how many people will run? We should try to get more. For me, the reason I'm running is actually, to be honest, from my VA experience. What happened when we get back is, so after I kind of got over my own thing, I started helping my other fellow Marines. And I would go to their appointments with them. I would set up the calls with them. I would try to get them their benefits. And I found myself spending so much time, like being an unofficial VA counselor, calling for my friend to get into a hospital for surgery, calling for my friend to get his drugs, calling for my friend to get VA disability and everything else like that. Then I started complaining to the government, like, what the heck is happening here? And then even my own experience during the war, unfortunately my unit saw some of the hardest days of combat, and we ended up taking the most casualties of the whole Iraq war. And that kind of also spurred me, because it was bad leadership that took me to this illegal war. It was bad leadership that didn't give me and my men the intelligence and nor the equipment we needed to defend ourselves. And then to get back and get treated like we did by the VA was horrific to me. So I started complaining. And for you guys that are elected, you guys know those people that come to your office, those citizens that are always complaining about something? Well, that used to be you, I'm sure, and that's how you end up in politics, right? Well, that was me. So I was the guy that would go to the Congressional office like, why is this messed up? Why is the GI Bill not working for these guys? And eventually these congressmen were like, okay, you want to run your mouth, like, you're going to come in and be my VA advisor. And that's how it all started, right? And so eventually I become a state rep. First bill I passed was the broadest bill I think I have so far, was to give in-state tuition for veterans. And because of that, thousands of Arizonans can go to school in Arizona. And that was because some of the guys I served with that moved from Ohio to Arizona could not use their GI Bill because they were considered out of state. Well, if you serve your country, no matter where you are in this country, you're always going to be in state. And I was very proud to have done that. But it was largely because out of frustration, a sense of service that really drove me. And I think that's what happens with a lot of the veterans that are serving Congress, both Democrats and Republicans. They're all just kind of following a sense of service that they had when they were in the armed services, and now they're just going to keep moving forward with it. And it works. I mean, I do work better with Republican members of Congress that have served in the military, because we have some level of bond that connects us. Well, I mean, like, I can only tell you, for me, like, when the Iran war started, for me, it was like deja vu, right? When I went to Iraq in 2005, I already knew the war was wrong. I knew it was a dumb war to go to, but I was not going to abandon my Marines. But to see us stumble into another war of choice, and then really have no concept of how to get out of the war. And think about what's happening right now. The president, we don't really know, are we in a war? Are we not in a war? The president keeps going back and forth. The question is, isn't it scary if you're that young man and young woman in the Middle East right now, where you don't know exactly what's happening? You don't know when you're going to leave. You don't know what's going to happen to, what's the mission right now? The president can't even answer what the mission is right now. And so, for me, I've been very ardent against this war, because I've seen this. This is deja vu to me, right? And the problem with this is that the people end up, feeling this. It's not Donald Trump's kids. Donald Trump kids are at the UFC fight, drinking beer and watching two guys wrestle. Meanwhile, our kids are in the Middle East, right? Donald Trump's kids are in New York City doing investment banking off the war and selling drones, to all the countries, including our own, while our kids are dodging drones in the Middle East, right? They don't feel this. They will never feel this. So for me, it was very simple when this war started because I knew exactly what's going to happen. The people that wanted the war will never send their kids. The people that are they don't want the war are the ones that end up sending their kids and end up paying in the long run because of it. Yes. I mean, I think it's always, no matter what, make sure you enroll yourself in the VA. Even if you're not going to end up using the VA medical system, enroll yourself in the VA so that way they have you on file, and you could also go for your other benefits. When you're talking about the random drugs, when we got back, when they realized the amount of young men and women that were coming back with PTSD, they did over-medicate us. They decided to give us opioids to kind of deal with every problem, right? Whether it was, not being able to sleep. I had, this knee is actually fake. It was replaced by the VA. It was non-combat injury, but when I got out, I had already heard the rumors about the kind of opioid addiction that was starting among our community, and they gave me OxyContin, and they gave me a lot of OxyContin, and it scared the hell out of me. And I told my my girlfriend, like, just take them away. I don't want to see them. Like, I'll just take Motrin. I'm a Marine. We drink Motrin. We change our socks. For those, you guys know the joke, right? But it had gotten so bad and so scary that a lot of men that I serve with just started avoiding any type of painkillers because we just didn't know what was going on. We knew men that were perfectly fine and not addicted, and then within 2 months were finding themselves addicted, and then the VA didn't give them any type of really way to get off. They would just cut them off from the OxyContin they had, and so these men would then go and find anything else that could deal with the pain, which unfortunately went down the road of drugs. Now, this is why I think there needs to be more than the simple therapies that they offer. That's why I think we should be experimenting with different types of PTSD therapies so that we don't just have to go down the kind of traditional drug therapy that they've used in the past. But we also need to make sure that, like, for veterans that do find themselves addicted to opioids, that we need to give them the opportunity and help them get off the addiction that we cause as a country. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times we stigmatize that community. We stigmatize people that have opioid addictions, and we push them off to whatever corner we could find them and ignore them, when in fact, we as a country, for the veterans, cause this opioid addiction. We need to get them back into our lives, off opioids, and back into a normal routine if possible. But it's better to be within the VA than not. It always is. And things have gone wrong, admittedly. And it's not a Trump problem. It's not a Biden problem. It's been every president that has messed up the VA. But every president has also been improving the VA, too. So let's make sure that we encourage these veterans still to go into the VA.
Like that guy, I'm going to be honest with that one. Did not think that was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and a lot of it is, the management is a harder problem, especially if you have doctors that are in the VA but aren't in the VA. So you mix all the prescriptions, which is some of the things that we have to modernize about the VA is like, make it easier. Now, some of these veterans are younger now, so they could actually do almost everything on their phones. They could track their medication and everything else like that. But for older veterans, it's a problem. And we're learning a lot, So one of the things that we were able to do, thanks to your dad, for example, your dad probably got, Agent Orange exposure. Forever it took, Vietnam veterans to get coverage for Agent Orange. when we got back from the war, when I got back from the war in 2005, it wasn't too long later that some of my guys started seeing some really rare diseases and cancers. And, I've had one guy, maybe two actually, I think one, who definitely has died because of a rare cancer that was caused by toxic burn pits. A young man who got a brain cancer that's so rare at his age, and it took him. If it wasn't for what we learned from your dad and from the Vietnam veterans, we'd have Iraq, Afghanistan veterans fighting just to get coverage for toxic burn pit. And it's scary. I lived next to one burn pit for a month. I didn't know why I would be worried about it, right? I was on an operation, and after a month, we were just living in this hollowed out apartment. You just have to start burning stuff because you don't want to hump it out. You don't want to hike it out. You don't want to give it to the locals because it's not their trash. So the solution to everything is we just burn everything. Well, when you start burning plastics, you start burning batteries, you start burning all this stuff, and you're living next to it. And now, I have young guys in my, I think we're young, 46, that have all these diseases and all these causes. You have sleep apnea is running rampant through these guys, different types of stomach viruses. And every time something pops up for me, I'm like, ooh, is that it? And I at least have now that we passed it, and it's the Democrats that passed it, by the way, when we pass Toxic Burn Pit Act, I at least know that my family's not going to go broke getting the therapies that I need and/or the surgeries that I need to deal with toxic burn pit exposure. But I know your dad's gone through a lot. Is he still alive? Hopefully he's doing well. But tell him a lot of current veterans really appreciate everything that we learned from him. Even some of the stuff that when we started accepting PTSD, we learned it from knowing and talking to Vietnam veterans. It's the Vietnam veterans at My American Legion Hall who told me hey, you need to go talk to somebody. This is exactly the same thing I saw when I got back from Vietnam. It's okay to go talk to somebody. And so they went through a lot, but they saved these Vietnam veterans have saved a lot of young men and young women's lives too. So make sure to tell them thank you for us. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and I'm actually on the VA committee. So this year, when I heard that they were actually going to do a couple things, number one, do massive cuts to the VA personnel, I actually held up all of their nominees until they actually sat down and explained to us, you want to fire people? Tell me how this is going to affect personnel. Because, when you get to the VA, half the problem is there aren't enough workers there. Number two, and this is talking to my sister, the one who's the doctor, and she did some of her residency at the VA hospital in Illinois. If you start firing staff, qualified staff, they're going to go and find somewhere else. So when it comes to medical care, doctors, nurses, practitioners, technicians, they go and they serve in the VA because they want to serve their country, right? Because if they go to the private sector, they're going to make a lot more money. And now if they think that they're just going to be randomly fired because somebody's got some bug up their spine, they're going to go somewhere else. Why wouldn't you? Because first of all, yes, you want to have service to your country, but you also got to take care of your family, right? And so I've been fighting them every day, every which way. And now they're doing some very nefarious stuff too. So you're going to hear about it coming up. There's a bill. It's a veterans bill. It does have some really good stuff in there for some of the programs they want to do. But the way they're going to pay for it is three ways. Number one, they're going to cut disability payments for people that have TBI. Right? For those that don't know, TBI is an internal kind of ringing that some of us get, especially if you're exposed to a lot of explosions and bangs. So I have, what's that? Tinnitus, yeah. Tinnitus, and basically there's a lot of people that find that they have tinnitus later on, because as you get older, you'll start hearing it. Unfortunately, what they want to do is they want to cut the disability payments for tinnitus in order to pay for this this bill. When you start doing that, you're going to have veterans that are basically have been, expecting this $100, $200 payment. You're just taking it away, right? And it does get worse over time. My tinnitus, for example, has gotten worse over time. I was in the infantry. We did a lot of shooting and a lot of things that went bang, and you do that for 7 months. And I'm getting older, and I'll have longer and more painful ringing in my ear. The other area they want to do is for a lot of men exposed to such a toxic burn pit. They want to take away sleep apnea as a service caused by service. Again, you're robbing one veteran to pay another veteran. And then they want to make it more expensive if you get a VA home loan. So if you want to get a VA home loan, they're going to make you pay more points on your VA loan that the government's giving you anyway, and they're going to use that to pay for, again, this veteran benefits. You don't have to rob veterans to pay for veteran benefits, right? When you have a country that is giving massive amount of tax cuts to the very richest of the country, why are we robbing veterans to pay for other veterans, right? And the worst is we send these men and women into war, and the whole time we're giving tax cuts. They're not saying their kids. They're not saying their kids. Again, Trump's not saying his kids. They're not going to be there at all. But the whole time our kids were warred during, the 20-year wars of Iraq and Afghanistan, we gave so many dang tax cuts to the rich. And now, what are we doing? Well, we need more money for the VA. Well, we're just going to steal this veteran's money to give it to that veteran. Well, why not just give it to the people that got tax cuts the whole time we were in these holes, dodging IEDs, dodging bullets, and now dealing with a VA that's not fully funded because they chose not to fully fund it. So we don't have to rob veterans to pay veterans. That's exactly what this administration is doing right now. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah, it's fine. Look, everything is different. Every case is different for every veteran, right? And so if you have VA health insurance and you need emergency care, the VA will likely pay for it, right? They're not going to say, you went to the emergency room, we're not going to pay, especially if it's the closest emergency room. If there is a service that they cannot get within the VA, there's also a way to pay for that. My most important thing is, do not avoid the VA. It's weird for me to say that. It sounds weird for me to say that after I just told you guys by my experience. But there's so many good people that work in the VA that want to help you. And like anything else, it's a human institution, right? Human institutions have human failings, right? Sometimes there's some people that aren't great at their job, some people that are great at their job. But if you give them time, they will get there, right? And if that doesn't work, call your congressman, call your senator. Democrat, Republican, we want to make sure our guys and gals get the services they need. So do not be afraid of that whatsoever. Again, I've had my ups and downs with them, and I still, believe that the best thing that ever happened was for me to work through the VA, and it really has made me a better person. I think it's, for a lot of veterans, it can be difficult, but they'll end up being on par, way better if they're working through the VA and working with people in the VA that trust them and people that want to see them succeed, right? Like they want, if you meet these veterans, and remember, a lot of the veterans that a lot of the VA employees are veterans themselves. They want to see you succeed as a veteran, right? They want you to be successful. They're rooting for you, right? And so having that in your corner makes a big difference, especially when you're going through some really, really hard times, especially when dealing with PTSD. Having somebody there that wants you to succeed, it goes a long way to push you through some very hard times. It's so tough. Like for those that were in the military, when you're leaving, you just want to get out. You guys remember that? Like I think it's like TAPS for me. I don't know what it was called for Air Force and for Army. And so if you want to sit somebody down, like let me talk to you about mentoring your life. You're like, you're so done. You're like, I already got my my car loan that's probably at 18% because I'm an idiot, like all these kind of things that I certainly did as a young man. What I actually think needs to be done is actually there should be consistent care while you're in the military, and then there should be a handoff. A lot of times we're very good in terms of making sure somebody's a really good war fighter, right? You know how to fight. Like I could disassemble almost every weapon below a 50 cal with my eyes closed still, right, to this day. And the Marine Corps was very good about teaching me about that. What we should have done is knowing that a lot of these men and women are going to be leaving after 4 to 8 years, is while they're in there, we should be training them and skilling them for them to be rejoining society so they could get quickly a job. They could, have good relationships, good stable relationships, and be able to connect them to the services or networks that they need, including being able to get good jobs, start a business, things of that nature. And I want to make sure we understand too, veterans actually on par do better than the rest of society in terms of jobs, in terms of stability, everything else like that. So it's not like this is a community that's like destructive of any sort, but we still want to make sure that we take care of them because of the service they gave to us. And if you want to have good recruitment in the future, you need to treat your veterans well now. Because if you don't treat your veterans well now, it's going to be hard for some of us to talk to our kids. Like, I will encourage my kids to join the military, right? I think it's the best thing they ever did, that ever happened for me. But I know a lot of parents, even guys that I serve with, that said they would never let their kids join because they're afraid of what's going to happen to them in the war, after the war, and things of that nature. And you can't, that's not a good way to kind of sustain our military capability. Yes?
All right, guys. Let's double check. Let's check in right now on our poll of the day, as it is every day on this show. Oh, wow. Just 2 minutes left on our poll of the day, guys. And we didn't get 20,000. Thank you guys so much. Oh, thank God. I can still actually breathe and do all of my rules and everything. Whew. All right. Um, 2 minutes left, guys. 2 minutes left in our poll. 33 of you left in the show. Oh, we're in overtime, so it's time to end the poll then. Poll ends. Poll ends if we go below 50 and I see it. So with that said, Gavin Newsom finally loses his streak, and JD wins his 31st. It's been a great Friday, guys. There wasn't much news today. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. No news is news. Remember, I won't be here this weekend, but I will be here on Monday, 5 p.m. Central Time, with more news. Let's get it then, guys. I'll see you then. Peace! Make sure you hit like and subscribe and all that stuff, because if you don't, I'll be really sad. My painting just fell. I definitely need a replacement now, so you're going to have to hit that subscribe button for me. Please, 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 please. Thank you.